Wow, this really carries. My name is Denise Thornley Brown, and my pronouns are she, her, and hers. And on behalf of the Board of Directors of the Southeast Conference of the United Church of Christ, I'd like to welcome you all to this meeting, the 60th annual meeting of the Southeast Conference of the UCC. So we've been doing this for a while. I haven't been doing this for a while, but we have been doing this for a while. And I'm always excited about the Southeast Conference meetings because I get to see all these old friends and young friends, but all these people I don't see very often. I get to meet new folks, and we're part of a big family, and a family that gets along. So welcome, welcome, welcome. And a special welcome to those who are on Zoom. I mean, this is a beautiful church, and unfortunately, you don't get to see it today, but I hope that you'll come and visit sometime and take a look at the church. It's just gorgeous. And I hope that those who are here will have a chance to look at it as well, to really take a look at all of these beautiful stained glass windows. It's a gorgeous church. Anyway, I would like to ask Reverend Dr. Dwight Andrews, Sr. to come up and give us a welcome and announcements, and then Reverend Kim Wood will lead us in prayer.
Good afternoon, everyone. I think you can be a little bit more enthusiastic than that. Good afternoon, everyone. That's more like it. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm Dwight Andrews. I'm pastor of First Congregational Church, and we are honored to have all of you here for our annual conference and the 60th anniversary of the conference. This is a special time for all of us, and we're just thrilled that you're doing it here at First Congregational Church. I'm pastor of this church, and this church is getting ready to next year celebrate its 160th anniversary. Sometimes I feel like I've been here all 160 years. But seriously, we're very grateful here. We've been able to renovate this wonderful sanctuary that was built in 1908. And we've been able to expand our campus. And so God has been good to us, and we hope to continue to share this ministry with all of you. I'm going to be with you for most of the weekend, but I will not be here for the plenary because I have a funeral to go to. Reverend James Laney, who was the president of Emory University, passed away, and his service is this afternoon. So he was the person that hired me when I first came to Atlanta. And so he's the reason why I'm here. So I won't be with you this afternoon, but I will be with you for the service this afternoon, later this afternoon, and all of the other celebrations. Most importantly, I want you to just look around, look at each other, and remember how blessed we are to have each other, to have this place of safety and worship, and for the important work that we are called to do as God's church. This is a desperate time, and we have to respond with all of the fortitude, with all of the faith, with all of the energy that we can muster so that we can build this beloved community that we often speak of, but we haven't seen come to full fruition yet. So God bless you all. Thank you for being here, and I look forward to seeing all of you over this great weekend. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Good afternoon, Southeast Conference. You all ate too much for lunch, didn't you? Well, let's try to pray it up a little bit if we could. It is good to be here today. It is good to see all of your faces. And I want to welcome you as well, and am grateful for those who are online with us and those who are here in the room. Grateful for First Congregational Church and their hospitality. Let's begin our time together with a time of prayer, but take a breath first, because I know you're all holding stuff. So take a deep breath if you would. And let it out. Now, I didn't hear a lot of deep breathing there, so let's try this with a sigh afterward. I actually want to hear you. We can collectively sigh better than that. One more time. And please join me in a spirit of prayer. Gracious and merciful God, you have indeed called us to be here, present from wherever we have been to wherever we have thought about going, to just this place. You've asked us to stop, to pause in the middle of our comings and goings, to gather together, to be your faithful community as the Southeast Conference of the United Church of Christ. And God, as we celebrate 60 years of being this conference and the hundreds of years of our predecessors coming together in different ways to be church, we thank you for this church building that houses us and holds us, shields us in some ways, but also gives us doors to go out of and windows to shout out the good news of your love. Bless us, God, in this work that we're doing, the work of ministry, the work of meeting, the work of learning and growing, as we seek to prepare well for who it is that you call this conference to be into the future. God, we praise you and we thank you, for you are the one we glorify. We praise you and we thank you for Christ, who has set before us this way to be church. And we praise you and thank you, God, because we know that Spirit is in this place. So here in these rooms, on the streets as we go back and forth from our places to rest, on the web, all over the place, the Ethernet, the airwaves. Bless us, God. Let Spirit enter into what we are about to do. In Christ's holy name we pray. Amen.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am delighted to say that according to the Southeast Conference's Constitution and Bylaws, we are required to have 75 voting delegates representing at least 1/3 of our local churches in this conference. At the moment, between our Zoom room and in-house, we have 83 delegates comprising of both authorized ministers and laypersons who are serving as delegates from 21 of our churches. Therefore, I do declare we have quorum. At this annual meeting, we are delighted to have a good number of guests from our larger United Church of Christ. And I get the privilege to be able to introduce those guests. We are delighted that Reverend Dr. Karen Georgia Thompson, the General Minister and President CEO of the United Church of Christ, is with us. You don't want to miss our 4:30 opening worship. She is preaching. Katie Howe, who is the soon-to-be Reverend, but not quite, with Disaster Response Ministries, the national setting. Our very own Reverend Dr. Susan Mitchell is here representing the Church Building and Loan Fund. Now, the airport has not been working in our favor thus far for this annual meeting, so I don't think he has joined us quite yet. But Reverend Dr. Paul Ramsey with the pension boards should be here soon and very soon, so we will welcome him when he joins. We are delighted that Cindy Howell with the insurance board is with us. Reverend Michael Irwin is one of our sponsors with his company, Church Campaign Services. Reverend Stacy Pettis is with us from the United Church Funds. And I believe the airport has prevented Maria Coyne from being with us quite yet, but we will, from Cornerstone Fund, but she will be with us soon. Also, Reverend Dr. Bob Thompson's flight has been delayed. He will be here this afternoon. He is with the Faithful and Welcoming Churches and will be part of our panel tomorrow. And joining us on Saturday is Reverend Darrell Goodwin, the Executive Conference Minister of the Southern New England Conference, who will be part of the panel, as well as our preacher on Sunday. So please welcome again all of our wonderful guests.
So one of the things that you get in the Southeast Conference, you always get a packet full of papers. And this is the first plenary session paper. And the next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. For those of you who don't know what a consent agenda is, it's a meeting practice that groups routine business and reports into one agenda item. The body then votes on these items in one action rather than filing motions on each item separately. So the following items have been included in this meeting's consent agenda. First of all, parliamentarian. Virginia Wadsworth has graciously accepted to be our parliamentarian for this session. Standing rules. A copy of the proposed standing rules for the 60th annual meeting of the Southeast Conference can be found in your meeting folder on the left-hand side. Minutes. You'll find the minutes from the 59th annual meeting held last year in Huntsville, Alabama in your meeting booklet. And then we've got the agenda. The agendas for plenaries 1, 2, and 3 are on a sheet on the left side of your folder. And please note the necrology will be included in the Saturday morning service of remembrance. That's where we remember those who have passed away in the past year. Reports. In your annual meeting booklet, you will find reports from the officers, the standing committees, and the active conference minister, as well as the outgoing conference minister and the moderator. So you can read those reports at your leisure. The consent agenda does not include the budget. That will be presented during this plenary and then voted on tomorrow. This plenary is mainly an information session, and then a lot of the votes and discussions will happen tomorrow. So please take a moment right now to locate and review all these items if you haven't done so already. Okay, has everyone had a chance to look at everything? Are there any items that a delegate requires to be removed from the consent agenda as it has been stated? Either here or online. Okay, if there's no objection, then the consent agenda stands, and I will consider it to be approved. I'll now invite Reverend David Fosberg to share information about our voting process.
So those of you who are joining us in the building, I'm going to ask you to hang on for a moment, because this is for our folks who are joining us on Zoom, to make sure that they can hear and so that they know how to vote when the time comes. So those of you who are on Zoom, when we have an opportunity to vote, you are going to be invited to either use the reaction button, that is the raise hand, or if your camera is on, you can physically raise your hand. Are they able to hear us better at this point? Okay. We're going to do a test, If you can raise your hand, either turn your camera on and lift it, or use the reaction button. Okay, we're still having some issues with sound. Every third word. Okay. We are going to try to fix the sound problem going on with Zoom. And now we're testing to see if this side is working. Looks like I'm getting up hands, so I think we've got it figured out. So we will try again. If you are on Zoom, if you can raise your hand, either turn your camera on and physically show your hand, or use the reaction button of raise hand. Okay. Okay. No, that's the piece. If we are louder and slower, is that coming through any better? Sorry, everyone, for this delay. Technology is great until it doesn't work. So we need to move the computer closer to the speaker, is my guess. Okay. There's an echo now. Okay. What we're going to do is we're going to take, Madam Moderator, why don't we take a very brief 5-minute stretch break, and we're actually just going to move the TV up here so they're capturing the speaker at the location. So y'all grab a glass of water, talk to your neighbor. We'll be right back with you.
Testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing. 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 1, 2, 3. Okay. Southeastern Conference United Church of Christ, 60th Annual Meeting, August 21st through 23rd, 2026. First plenary session, Friday, 1 p.m. Welcome and call to order. Prayer. Welcome to First Congressional Church and announcements. Declaration of quorum. Introduction of guests and staff. Pardon me. Can you quiet down a little bit? Pardon me. Pardon me. Can you guys quiet down a little bit? We can't hear the speakers. Thank you. Testing. 1, 2, 3. Welcome and call to order. Welcome to First Congressional Church and announcements. Testing 1, 2, 3. Welcome to the Southeast Conference. Welcome to the Southeast Conference, United Church of Christ, 60th annual meeting, August 21st to 23rd. First plenary session agenda. Welcome and call to order. Prayer. Welcome to First Congregational Church and announcements.
Sorry about the interlude. Hopefully you got a chance to meet new people and a neighbor. We're going to try this one more time. Those on Zoom, if you can hear me, can you please raise your hand? Yes. So those of you who raised your hand, that is how we will be doing voting any time that there is a vote called for. You can either turn your camera on and raise your hand, or you can use the emoji. And then under reactions. And then when the vote is done, we ask you to lower your hand if possible. And we will give a moment to let you find that, either turn your camera on or find the emoji, and we will give a moment before calling for the next vote to lower all the hands. Thank you again for your patience.
Thank you, Davey. And I guess everybody can hear me now. So the United Church of Christ Financial Ministry Partners consists of several funds. The Cornerstone Fund, the Insurance Board, the Pension Boards, United Church of Christ, Pension Boards, United Church of Christ, United Church Funds, the UCC Church Building and Loan Fund. Together, they help protect and grow churches. Most of our congregations have experienced the expertise and services of at least one of these ministry partners. I know at Beloved we have. And the benefits of working with our financial ministries, whether it is to provide health insurance and pension opportunities for our authorized ministers and ministry setting staff, to insure our buildings, or to explore possibilities of expanding our ministries and improving our physical plants. There are innumerable things that these financial partners have done to benefit our local churches and our conference. This year, we are grateful for the support of UCC Financial Ministries as a sponsor of this event, and our grateful representatives from all of our financial ministries with us for this annual meeting. So let's give a round of applause to all our financial ministries. So Cindy Howell is our Southeast Conference Insurance Board representative, and she's now here to offer a few words.
Hello. I use the handrail because I would be the one that would fall. So anyway, my name is Cindy Howell. I do work with the insurance board. We work with churches on the insurance for the property and the liability. We also work with churches and related ministries on loss prevention services. So who in here has not heard of insurance board? Everybody? So you know we sell ice cream, right? Just kidding. So we do have a table out here, so if you get a chance, stop by, get a little piece of candy and some information to take back with you. And please, if you have questions, ask me. If I don't know the answer, I'll get you an answer. But I appreciate the opportunity to be here today. Thank you guys very much, and stop over and see me.
Well, thank you, Cindy. A second of our UCC financial ministries is the pension boards. And let's welcome Paul Ramsey forward to offer a few words about our pension boards.
Hi, thank you very much. I get a wonderful call to be a team lead on one of the best things I think we do as a denomination, and that's the Christmas Fund. And I want to thank all of you for your wonderful generosity. We've had this year for the Christmas Fund, one of the things we got a call. I got a call from the conference minister in Vermont, and a retired pastor who is the pianist at her small rural Vermont congregation hadn't been to church on a Sunday, and they were trying to track her down. They discovered that the tires on her car were bald, and that twice this past winter, which was brutal in Vermont, she had run out of heating oil. And like most, I won't say most, much clergy, we have a difficult time admitting when we need help. And we partnered with the conference to get her a grant that will renew for 3 years. It's a little bit larger than we normally give because her house was also in disrepair. We wanted to make sure that she had the type of caregiving that would ensure that was more holistic so that she was part of a safety net. And she will be featured in our Christmas Fund video this year. But it's the generosity that you show. And like I said, as a long-term UCC clergy, to be part of this effort to care for our folks is a really beautiful experience. And I'm so grateful for your generosity. I've been with the pension boards for just about 7 years now. As you know, we hold the pension and health care benefits for our clergy and church workers. We also have ministerial assistants that I just described, which one thing I want to say too is that's not just available to members of our benefit plans. That's available to all clergy, so and church workers and their families. And so you have the benefit of that net that will help if you need it. I also serve a church in Denver, Colorado. I've been there at Mayflower for 25 years, and so I get to be a part-time clergy, and that allows me to continue to be kind of understanding the needs of our folks. I have a workshop in a little bit here about a partnership that we have with Karen George's team and National Ministries, Reverend Dr. Thompson's team and National Ministries. It's Together for Tomorrow. Some of you have heard about this. It's a program we have through Free Will. Most of the folks in our congregations, no matter how sophisticated we feel that the folks in our congregations are, about 50% of our folks do not have a will. And Free Will is a partnership that allows our folks in 45 minutes to an hour and a half to have a legal full will, which any of you who are clergy know what it's like, the bag of chaos, I'll say that nicely, that our members can give if they don't have their affairs in order. This is a spiritual gift, also a financial gift. In the short time we've been doing this, just as kind of a soft launch, and we're about to launch with this conference as well, but just as a soft launch, we're almost at $30 million for UCC initiatives. Over half of that has gone to local churches. And much of that is going to conferences. $750,000 of that went to O&A scholarships. So I mean, this great stuff, and about $3 million of that has gone to the Christmas Forever Fund, which helps endow our ability to continue to care for our clergy. I'd love it if you'd come to the workshop. I have some really neat bags because of ministry bags. One of the great giveaways is not only our Evercall magazine, but also a pencil that becomes a seed that you can plant. And so that's a big reason to come to a workshop, right? All right. Thank you all very much.
Maria's made it, right? Okay, Maria is a victim of Atlanta and the Atlanta airport, so she'll present tomorrow. So this is some really exciting stuff, and we're just beginning the meeting. But as most of you know, we've entered into a time of transition at the Southeast Conference. After Reverend Kim announced her resignation, the board appointed a transition team to help guide and make recommendations to the full board and to the annual meeting as to where we go from here. So after conversations with the National Staff Support for Conference Minister Searches and talking with Reverend David Fosberg and just discussions, we have appointed Reverend Davey as the acting conference minister. And we're really excited about this because they have a long history with our conference and all aspects of our conference, and they've worked very closely with a lot of the local churches, so we're very happy. And not only are we happy that we decided to appoint them, we're happy that they said yes. So I wanted to talk a little bit more about where we go from here. So there's a proposal, and there's some things in your handout. There's two Excel tables on one sheet, and then there's a description here. And if it's a little convoluted, blame me. But I tried to make it as clear as we could. So through further conversation and discernment, the transition team came to the realization that our current staffing model of timeline came to realization of our current model and what we needed to change. Because what we wanted to do is have something that is stable in the long term, fiscally stable. So our current model consists of a full-time conference, and that's table 1, the short table. It consists of a full-time conference minister, a full-time associate conference minister, as well as administrative and financial assistance, okay? What the Southeast Conference is proposing, what the Board of Directors is proposing, is a new staffing model, and that's on the other side. And that will consist of a full-time conference minister and then 2 part-time associate conference ministers. One associate conference minister's role would be focused on the clergy and the other on local churches. So in this model, the administrative assistance hours would be increased, and the financial assistance role would be closer to that of a comptroller as opposed to her current bookkeeper role. And you can see this on the back of that sheet. So that's sort of the proposal that we've come up with. Now let's talk a little bit about the timeline. So bearing this in mind, we recommend creating about an 18-month timeline. So an 18-month designated conference minister position, and we had proposed that our acting conference minister become the designated conference minister for 18 months, okay? And then, and this goal of this designated period would be so that we could try this new staffing model out, okay? And then eventually, by the end of 18 months, call a settled full-time conference minister, as well as 2 part-time settled associate conference ministers. Okay, for those of you who are not well-versed in UCC jargon, I actually had included in that handout a glossary. What a designated minister is, what an interim position is, what a bridge or supply position is, and what a settled position is. So hopefully you'll find that helpful because we'll be talking about that over the weekend and we'll be throwing those words out. So use the handy-dandy glossary. So the proposed timeline that we have is for months 1 through 3, which would be starting now, would be short-term coverage of the Associate Conference Minister's search and call and ministerial MID responsibilities by a bridge search and call coordinator. So a bridge would be a temporary person who's just there to cover this, to cover those tasks, okay? So they would be covering the search and call responsibilities that were previously held by Reverend Davey, okay? And then this person would remain in the position until we could get a part-time designated associate conference minister, an associate conference minister of clergy care, basically, in Table 2. And then the board further proposes modifying the duties of the current communities of practice coordinator from a contract position to a part-time associate conference minister position, and to serve as the designated part-time associate conference minister of congregational care. Okay? Everyone still with me? Okay, good. So that would be the first 3 months. So really a period of transition where we can get some designated people in place, okay? A bridge, just to cover the tasks that need to be done now, and a designated until we could get settled people. So months 4 through 6 would be implementation of the new staffing model, okay? So we're hoping that by month 4, the board will have the 2 part-time designated associate conference ministers in place, and their terms would be for about 15 months. And this would allow us to tweak this staffing model. So see if this model works and tweak any kinks. Months 6 through 12, the following 6 months would be clarifying the roles of the conference minister and the associate conference ministers, and formulation of a search committee and creation of a conference profile, okay? So those 6 months would be hopefully a period of stability where we start to get the conference profile together and the search committee. And then the last 6 months, months 12 through 18, would be search and call for a settled conference minister and settled part-time associate conference ministers, okay? In other words, finding more permanent people for the positions. So I hope that it's a lot, and it's a lot of moving parts, but I hope that you will be able to take the time to really review this proposed staffing model. And we'll be talking about it and voting on it tomorrow. So you have some time to look over it, come up with questions, thoughts, etc. I now invite Michael Bowen to come forward to present the budget on behalf of the Stewardship and Finance Committee. So Michael served as our most recent treasurer, and we have really been without a treasurer for the past year. And so he graciously stepped forward and helped in the creation of the budget, and also will be presenting the budget, since none of the team members from Stewardship and Finance Committee are here in person. So Michael, thank you so much for volunteering to do this.
Hello, everyone. It is fantastic to be here. I always look forward to the annual conferences and really enjoy coming here and being with you guys. The budget is in the front left side of your packet, the proposed budget for FY27. It's a little bit different format than we've given you before. So in this format, on the right-hand side of the page, you have fiscal year 26 budget. On one side of it is the budgeted numbers, and then on the second side, or the left side of that FY26 total column is actual. The actual only goes through quarter 3 of this year. So you still have one more quarter to go. But for the FY27 proposed budget, first of all, does anybody have any questions? Start with that for the revenue. So just a few comments. Our OCWM we budgeted for FY27 would be $220,000. That's $20,000 lower than we budgeted for this current fiscal year. But looking at the actual number and thinking about more reality, 220,000 sounded pretty good to us. So we dropped it to that. Friends of the Conference, we budgeted $25,000. They've done a great job at collecting up to a little over $20,000 this year. So we're looking for $25,000 from Friends of the Conference in this next fiscal year. And that's a whole lot better. If you'll remember, just a few years ago, we were budgeting $3,000 and $4,000, sometimes $5,000 for that. But Friends of the Conference has really grown, and we have you to thank for that. So grants, we are looking at a grant of $60,000. That's just a conservative estimate, maybe higher than that. But we hope to get the $60,000 grant this year. And bringing us a total revenue of about $321,800 estimated. And then in the expenses column, do you see anything that you have a question about that? Yes, ma'am.
Does this reflect the new staffing model or the current staffing model?
This reflects the new staffing model, proposed staffing model. So that's why there's some changes in the salaries, et cetera. Any questions from Zoom? Yes, sir. Okay. Yeah, sure. He asked if there was a recommended amount for congregations to offer OCWM, and there's really not a recommended amount written anywhere. 10% is what we give to National as a conference. So whatever we collect in from the churches, we donate 10% of the conference. But you know, churches can donate anything higher would be great. So, but there's no established recommendation. Thank you. So just looking on the second page on the back, the total expenditures that we came to was $321,712, leaving us a $87.12 over. So I want to thank everybody who worked on this budget. I personally want to thank you as a member of UCC, but also just thank everyone who worked on this budget this year and every year, and all the contributions from the Finance Committee that you made. And thank you for your time today. Anything else? Any other questions for me? All right, thanks.
Well, Michael, thank you. I had nightmares of having to present the budget, so thank you for the presentation. We're not going to be voting on the budget today, but you're invited to attend the second of our budget hearings, and that's going to be the next workshop session down in the small classroom. So if you have questions or want to learn more about the budget, that's the place to be. And so we'll vote on the budget, the proposed budget, in our third plenary. Okay, now I'm going to invite Reverend Davey to come up again and speak, give us an update about the E. Rhodes and Leona B. Carpenter Foundation.
The E. Rhodes and Leona B. Carpenter Foundation was formed in 1975 as the E. Rhodes Carpenter Foundation by E. Rhodes Carpenter, founder of Richmond, Virginia-based company known simply as Carpenter Co. During Mr. Carpenter's lifetime, the foundation made a few substantial gifts, but for the most part had minimal assets. In accordance with Mr. Carpenter's wishes, the foundation received significant funding following his death in 1980. His wife, Leona B. Carpenter, died later that year, leaving substantial assets to the foundation. In 1982, the name of the foundation was changed. The foundation now operates independently of and has no connection to the Carpenter Company. Each year, the foundation awards a number of grants, including grants to projects and programs offering support to gay, lesbian, bi, transgender, and other LGBTQIA persons of faith, or those who are endeavoring to ensure faith communities' understanding, affirmation, and inclusion of people in the LGBTQIA+ community. Last year, the Southeast Conference applied for the second time and was awarded $90,000 to continue supporting our programming and advocacy focused around LGBTQIA inclusion. This grant has provided funding to support the ONA discernment events that we have held throughout this year, including panels on the ONA process with the Indiana-Kentucky Conference, a Gender 101 panel, or a Gender 101 class, and a conversation about the faithful and welcoming churches within the United Church of Christ. The grant is also supporting some of the programming being offered at this annual meeting, as well as staff work with new ONA congregations and church revitalization. The grant is also providing funding for our second LGBTQIA clergy retreat that is being offered at the end of next month. We have applied for a third grant from the E. Rhodes and Leona B. Carpenter Foundation for our next fiscal year. We are hopeful to receive word in January on whether or not we've been granted a third grant. One of our ministry partners is also a beneficiary of this same generosity, and that is Pathways Theological Education, Inc., a fully online theological education program that was birthed out of the Southeast Conference. And here to tell you a little bit about their work is the president of Pathways, Reverend Valerie Colauder.
Thank you. We are very proud and grateful to be recipients of the grant from the Carpenter Foundation, as well as from individuals and churches throughout the Southeast Conference. If you've been here around for a while, you probably have, I hope, have some familiarity with Pathways. Please read the report. I worked really hard at writing that report, so please read it. If you are sitting in here today or online and you have an association with Pathways, if you have graduated from one of Pathways programs, if you have taken enrichment courses from Pathways, if you have served on or are serving on Pathways board or committees, would you just briefly just raise your hand? Look around, folks. Look around. Just that gives you some indication of the impact that Pathways has had on this conference. All right, thank you, thank you. Pathways began out of an innovative program that the conference had years back called Theology Among the People, TAPS. Some of you know that. And then after the 2005 General Synod, which took place in Atlanta, that affirmed alternate pathways to ministry in the United Church of Christ, that began a process and conversations that transformed into pathways as a program of the Southeast Conference to do exactly that, to help provide the support and resources that folks needed to come into ministry by an alternate pathway. And then, a few years after that, you may remember that Pathways changed its relationship to the Southeast Conference. We still have a very close relationship, but it's evolved over time and became a incorporated 501c3 that was sort of birthed out of the Southeast Conference, but no longer within the Southeast Conference. And I make a point of that today because this is something that you need to know, and I think maybe not so much aware of. Pathways is now a gift that the Southeast Conference has created and given to the church. Okay? There are now, from most of the conferences around the United Church of Christ, have folks participating in Pathways. And that is exciting. And we have been able to be positioned to be really a leader in this new movement of the church. When COVID happened and virtually every institution of higher education was trying to figure out how to survive and how to do classes online, we said, we're here, we've been doing this, we've got this. And Pathways has really become a leader among the regional theological education programs of the UCC, and is having an ever-expanding influence. So I want you to know that the investment that you have made in Pathways is helping to lead the church and create the church of the future. That is something that the Southeast Conference is doing. From the time that we changed that relationship from being a program of the conference to being a partner with the conference minister of the Southeast Conference has been ex officio on our board. Going forward, we have made a little shift in that also and are allowing for our conference minister now to be able to designate someone so that we'll still have that relationship, we'll still have the communication with the Southeast Conference Board, but it'll be a little bit more flexible. I also wanted to let you know that we have introduced a program, or just now launching a program we call Pathways Circle, which is to ask for the regular support of, if you believe in Pathways, if you have benefited from Pathways, I want to ask you to consider giving back to Pathways. If you would make a commitment to do that in any amount, it would just mean the world to us. I'd be happy to talk to you about that. I've got a table downstairs, and you'll be hearing more about it. But I'll ask you to prayerfully consider whether you personally can make a gift to Pathways, whether you through your church, by giving or by helping to sponsor fundraising events, or by an endowment that your church may have, can help to continue what Pathways is doing. We are very excited about the plans that we have and the things that are happening, and I'd love to tell you more about it. So grab me or find me at the table downstairs where we had lunch. Thank you so much, and we're very proud of all of our graduates and participants. Thank you.
Thank you, Valerie. We are blessed, as I said earlier, to have Katie Howe, the Minister for Disaster Response and Recovery of the National Setting, here with us again this year. She has been working with the Southeast Conference and spent some time with the board this morning as we continue to work on building our disaster recovery response team. I'm going to invite her to come and share a few words with you.
Great, thank you. It's an honor to be here and be with all of you this weekend. On the last slide, or the first slide when they introduced me, Dave, you mentioned the almost reverend. My ordination is actually scheduled for next weekend, so I'm very excited about that. So I'm excited to be here with all of you. I have a workshop this afternoon that will be talking more about disaster preparedness and how you can prepare your churches to support your communities. And then I have a workshop tomorrow where we will be talking a little bit more about getting involved in disaster ministries and what that might look like to be a bit more involved locally. As we've continued to see an increase in frequency and severity of disasters across the nation and across the world, we really want to lean into how disaster preparedness helps us to care for our neighbors and care for those in our churches and in our communities before disasters happen. And it doesn't have to be the tornado or it doesn't have to be the hurricane, but there are other times that our communities really need our support. My town of Lakewood, Ohio, which is just suburban Cleveland, has experienced rolling power outages all summer. And so thinking about what does it look like to care for our communities to make sure we are better equipped to prepare for disasters. So I encourage you to come talk to me. I have a table downstairs as well with some resources. I will be here through tomorrow evening. And then I have the workshop this afternoon and one tomorrow. So I hope to see you there. Thank you.
Thank you, Katie. I invite you, as she has mentioned, to try to make sure you make at least one of her workshops. They are fantastic. And important conversations for our congregations to be having and our conference before we need it. And let's face it, we've already needed it. I would now like to invite up our new sponsor, Reverend Michael Irwin, to share a little about his organization, Church Campaign Services.
Hello, church. Good afternoon. I'm glad to be here. Michael Irwin. I've grew up in Griffin, Georgia, if anybody knows where that is. Spent 30 years in Indiana, Kentucky. Are you from Griffin? No? Oh, not many people are. Spent 30 years in the Indiana, Kentucky Conference, and my wife and I are now back home, and we're so excited to be here. Church Campaign Services, bread and butter, we do capital campaigns, but we do a lot more. We do generosity, annual, year-round. We help with strategic visioning and interesting projects like currently working with Indiana, Kentucky, and Heartland on the financial implications of their potential unification. So interesting times. We have a table out here. I just want to say we want to buy somebody lunch. Fill out a slip. We will buy your church leadership team lunch if you're in that drawing. I'm doing a workshop on storytelling in about a few minutes, but I want to tell you a story. We have the neatest little pens. They have a spinner on them. You can pick one up out here. Last week, we've been doing this for years. Last week, somebody came to me at Indiana, Kentucky Conference and said, you know, you changed my life. I have a council president who is a clicker. I gave him one of your pens. Now my life is better. Love for you to pick up a pen. Any of your ministries here, could you use $100,000? We have those at the table too. Okay, so pick one up. And I know that's a little cheeky and corny. And, but more importantly, we moved back home to be with family and to find community. And I'm a UCC minister. Here I am back home in the Southeast Conference. Happy to be here. So I hope you will say hi to me while I'm here. I don't hardly know anybody here. And introduce yourself to me, and let's start new community. So thank you.
I'm getting good at stairs. But thank you, Michael. This sounds like a really exciting opportunity. We're about to enter into our time for workshops, and the list of your workshops are on either the right or the left side of your packet. So, but I also wanted to, Reverend Miles Riley, he's a new minister here at the church, an associate minister, and he pointed out these books, these booklets, a tour guide where you can see and read about this wonderful church and all the stained glass and everything. They're available at the information desk, the registration desk, so help yourself and make yourself at home. Are we going to have a small break between now and the workshops? Or 5 minutes. So you have 5 minutes to get from here to there and look at the church. You can do it. So this concludes this plenary session.